Ladies and gentlemen, I have a fascinating and dramatic story for you, about an unfaithful woman, who acts like a moderate woman, who doesn't care what people think of her, much less her boyfriend with a Sigma personality. If you are one of the people who like stories about infidelity, toxic relationships, jealous or controlling men, you will like the following video. What happens when a narcissistic woman falls in love with a Sigma man? Watch this video and you will find the answers. When a covert narcissistic woman falls in love with an alpha male, some signs, traps and manipulative behavior to avoid. One of my favorite professors always told me that the world is full of omega men, who are below the alpha men in the social hierarchy. The alpha man by nature is outgoing, sure of himself and owner of his destiny, contrary to the omega man who is calm, thoughtful and strategic in everything he does. The alpha man is the one who cheats on women, while the omega man is the one who is cheated on by women. But what happens when a narcissistic woman falls in love with an alpha man? As an alpha, what would be the consequences if this modern woman, who believes she owns the world, cheats on a Sigma man with another man? Do you think that in response this Sigma man will also cheat on this unfaithful woman with another woman as a form of revenge? How to prevent a modern woman from cheating on you with another man? What would be those signs that this modern woman is only using you because she is not into you? Please keep watching this video to find out the answers to the story I'm telling you right now. Alpha male, I don't believe in equality between men and women in business or at work, much less in the home, where both men and women must play their respective roles. This story is a psychological drama between a man and a woman who look at the world differently, starting from a deformed perspective of themselves. Psychological drama in a plot which you will like very much, if you want to know the conflicts associated with individuals who do not really understand the meaning of the word love, loyalty and commitment. If you are one of the people who like the story of deception, infidelity, revenge, lies, manipulation, secrets, power struggles between couples, this story could be for you. In this story you will know some of the difference between a covert narcissistic woman and an alpha woman when looking for a stable relationship. But also some of the signs and traps that indicate that you are facing a covert narcissistic woman. Is it really worth trying to change or be together with a woman who presents the symptoms or behaviors of a covert narcissistic, or at that moment immediately break any type of relationship? At the end of this story you could find the answer. My father has always told me that the more confidence you have in yourself as a man, the less chance there is for that woman to cheat on you. The more insecure you are as a man, the more chances you have for her to cheat on you. To be successful in the business world, but also in love, knowing these principles is important, in which exploiting your strengths and hiding your weaknesses is the key to success. Both in business and in love, whoever has the best weapons to manipulate the opponent has the greatest chance of succeeding in what he or she wants. Can a man like me with an alpha personality have a romantic relationship with a narcissistic woman? The answer is no. To understand the plot of the story there are 3 words you must know. The first is attention, the second is control and the third is competence. Words, which will be an important part of the plot of this story. Am I an alpha male or a narcissistic male? It is something that I do not know. Maybe that is why I cheated on my wife, because she cheated on me, as a way of proving myself, that a woman does not define who I am. On the contrary, I am the one who defines who she is or she should be if she wants to be with me. This is where knowing the difference between a man with an alpha personality and a man with a narcissistic behavior is extremely important, something that in this story that I am telling I am trying to establish. It is one thing to have self-confidence and another thing is to project self-confidence. The alpha male is self-confident by nature, the narcissist male projects self-confidence as part of the mask. The alpha man is authentic, while the narcissistic man is fake. The alpha man, his self-esteem is supported by real human qualities, while the narcissistic man, his self-esteem is supported by imaginary qualities created by himself, to hide the deep hatred, insecurity and shame of himself. My name is Matthew, I am 32 years old, I work as a senior executive in one of the largest real estate companies in the state in which my father is one of the largest investors. For 2 years I have been engaged to my girlfriend Barbara, 27 years old, who is the international representative of one of the most important fashion stores in the United States. As you can see by the type of work we do, we are people whose work and business commitments consume most of the time, in which the needs of the couple often take a back seat. Am I responsible for my girlfriend cheating with one of her clients? Is my girlfriend responsible for me cheating on her with a beautiful model she knows? Maybe yes, but that is not the only reason why a woman cheats on a man or a man cheats on a woman, as you will discover in this story. This is where the word attention, control and competence come into focus. Many family friends and co-workers tell me in a mocking tone that my father is the omega of the family and my mother is the alpha, because no financial decision is made in the company without her approval from her. Some fellow students in college used to tell me that I physically resembled my father, but my temperament, personality, attitudes and that image of being in control was something inherited from my mother. In short, my mother was seen as the boss in the house, while I was seen among all the children as the alpha of the group, perhaps because I was the most spoiled child by my mother. Perhaps my mother was unconsciously trying to develop a strength in me that my father did not have, which was needed to be successful in business, but also in marriage. My father, in order to maintain harmony in the family, assumed the role of the omega and let my mother have the role of alpha, a transaction in positions of control that has worked for my parents so far. My mother, like all mothers, always asks me when I am going to give her a grandson, despite she already has 4, 2 boys and 2 girls from my brother and younger sister. If for some reasons this video is filling your expectations, I am going to ask you for something that is free. Please subscribe to this channel, give it a like, leave your comments, but above, everyone shares this type of videos, as a way to help the growth of this channel. On that note, please keep watching this video. As a way to please my mother and keep her happy, I am always introducing her to a new girlfriend every 6 months. Some real ones, others pretended to do it, as that favor. Before entering a business meeting, I was waiting for the elevator door to open in the lobby of the building, when suddenly a beautiful woman, extremely beautiful, sophisticated, self-confident, sensually attractive, and a tall woman wearing that type of high-fashion clothing that very few women can afford. As soon as she entered the elevator, looking into her eyes, I asked her the number of the floor, trying to be polite, which she answered with a smile, "Number 14 please." Upon hearing the answer, I replied, "It seems that we are going to the same place." She, for some reason, which is a product that every woman has, when they are hunting for prey, I wonder, what kind of business do you have with the advertising agency? Just trying to do a type of business in which both companies will benefit. A woman who is hunting for a man, before becoming interested in that man, she first wants to make sure of the value of the prey and whether it is worth pursuing. This is where she, as a good manhunter, used her personal appearance as an attention mechanism to attract her future victim. Sorry man, in which her body, her smile and the quality of her clothes is the best hook employed by her. Believe me, every woman, for some reason they know, when she is considered an attractive woman by the man in front of her. Reasons why as a good manhunter, she kindly asks me? Since we are going to the same place, as a woman projecting self-confidence, qualities that some modern women possess, told me in a soft tone, "My name is Barbara. I work as a representative of a major modeling agency." As a man, impressed by the beauty of that woman who was in front of me and understanding her dynamics when she finds a prey, where courtesy is part of the strategy to gain trust, I grabbed her hand. In a soft tone I answered to her, "My name is Matthew. I work as a senior executive in one of the largest real estate companies in the state." "Nice to meet you, Barbara," in which she with a defiant look, "The pleasure is mine, Matthew." One of the big problems with alpha men is being outgoing and self-assured, which can sometimes work against you and sometimes work for you. Looking Barbara in the eye, I told her, "What do you think, if after the business meeting, we sit down in a quiet place and try to get to know each other a little?" Barbara, upon hearing my proposals about a date, to which she replied that she had a commitment for later, but she opened her woman's handbag and handed me a card, telling me, "Call me or leave me a text message when you're not too busy." Then I replied, "I'm sure I will." She answered me, "I'll see you then." This is where a woman with a high sense of self-confidence begins to operate when a female hunter is looking at her prey, in which being in control of the situation is part of her strategy as a woman. Until now, Barbara has used with success the two of the three words that I mentioned at the beginning, which the attention that she provoked in me, being an extremely attractive woman, was her first step, control over the situation and their emotions, a second step, and the third is to beat the competition, in which, who is the hunter and who is the prey is part of the dynamics between people with an alpha personality. On my first date with Barbara, this is where I will have the opportunity to know if I am facing an alpha woman or a narcissistic woman. Am I facing a woman who projects self-confidence or a woman who pretends to be self-confident? Is Barbara a real woman or a fake woman? It is an answer that I will try to find. Is Barbara material to be a wife? Or is Barbara a woman for a one-night stand? Right now I don't know. Is Barbara good just to have sex? It would depend on how good she is in bed. A woman as beautiful as Barbara, would it be just another trophy in my life? At this stage of life, it is something that is not worth it, and even more knowing the type of woman that my mother wants for me. A man like me with an alpha mindset doesn't make emotional decisions. At this stage of my life, I must look at love relationships with the same criteria that I see business relationships. I have no interest in impressing a future investor to do business, just as I have no interest in impressing a woman who could be my wife for the rest of my life. The strategy that I used on the first date with Barbara is determined by my need to find an alpha woman who, as a partner, adds value to the type of life that I am currently having. A marital relationship is not the center of my life, it is just an emotional tool in my life, which I will use to enrich my quality of life. As children they have not been taught to treat women like princesses. The problems with this idea, that I am not looking for a princess for the mother of my children, much less someone who does not add positive things as a man. If I were trying to only have sex with Barbara and see her as a trophy to strengthen my self-esteem as a man who conquers a beautiful woman, sometime I follow the manipulation game used by narcissistic women, who use the attention that sexuality provokes in a man whom she want to catch, simply for the pleasure of doing it, without any commitment. Women's sexuality is just a hook that narcissistic women use to hook their next victim. Since I don't have time to play the game that narcissistic women use using sexuality to grab a man, I'm not in a hurry to have that first date, which is not motivated by a passion of the moment, which is motivated by my need to know if Barbara is marriage material. For some reason, the following questions suddenly came to my mind, the answers to which I think I know. How to prevent a modern woman as beautiful as her from cheating on you with another man? What would be those signs that this modern woman, like the one I'm looking at right now, is only using you because she doesn't like you or she's just pretending? As a Sigma man who is impressed by this extremely beautiful woman, it is something I must take into consideration, no matter how much her beauty clouds my thoughts. As a Sigma man, it is something I cannot allow for a woman to cheat on me with another man, by listening to my heart, not my mind. You will say that as a Sigma man I sound a little insecure, maybe you are right, but no matter how much you believe in yourself, when faced with the beauty of a woman, sometimes without realizing it, we lower our confidence as a result of emotions of the moment. When a woman gets your attention with her body, you should assume that she is an uncover narcissist, not an alpha woman, who doesn't need to use her body to get men's attention. 2 weeks after my first encounter in the elevator, I phoned Barbara to ask her if she remembered me, which she said yes. Soft tone in the answer which increased my interest in her as a woman, as a person, but also as the future mother of my children, because I noticed in her answer a woman sure of herself in what she could offer a man, but also control in the emotions. Upon hearing her answers, I asked her if she was still available to accept my proposals to have a first date, about which she told me that she would like it very much. For which I mentioned a place to her, several blocks away from the office where she worked. It was a small restaurant with a family-type atmosphere, managed by its Italian immigrant owner, where you can have a coffee or a good meal in a quiet environment, where the parishioners wear casual clothes. Suggestion from me which Barbara accepted, with a genuinely grateful tone. Why did I wait 2 weeks to call Barbara? Number 1. letting her know that my need for her was not sexually motivated as much as her body caught my attention when I first saw her in the lobby of the building. Second, letting her know that I did not see her as a trophy to raise my ego as a man, because of how beautiful, sophisticated and fashionable she is before the eyes of men. Third, letting her know that she is not the center of my life, that as a man I have other more important things to do than pay attention to her. When you are dealing with a female narcissist who needs your attention to feed an inflated ego, letting her know that she has no control over you is extremely important when you are a confident alpha male who is dealing with a female convert narcissist. Barbara knows that on this first date the resource of sexual manipulation, personal appearance and increasing my ego as a man dating a beautiful woman like her, who expects to be treated like a princess, does not work. Assuming that Barbara falls into the category of female narcissists, I must be prepared for the other type of manipulation that female narcissists use to control men, where the use of emotions and psychological manipulation or gaslighting is something to be expected, which will show me if Barbara deserves a second date with me, if she does not meet the standards that I as an alpha male expect from a woman. Having a relationship of any kind with a narcissistic woman is not part of my plans right now. No, it doesn't matter how beautiful she is as a woman or how good she is at making love. Let me tell you what happened on the first date with Barbara, which determined if she is worth going on a second date with me. No one doubts that for a woman the first impression is extremely important when it comes to making a man fall in love with her. Because men do not listen, we only see and women know it. For an alpha man, the first date with a woman is like a job interview, where the first impression does not matter. Visually speaking, it does not matter much. It is what the woman can offer the company. Sorry, I am talking for the future marital relationship. Barbara arrived at the appointed time at the meeting place, wearing the kind of casual clothing that befits a confident woman, not a narcissistic woman who draws attention using her body. My first impression of her, based on her behavior, is that Barbara is a woman who respects her time, but also the time of other people, which is a plus when talking about an alpha woman. As an educated woman, she thanked me for the invitation, hoping that we would spend a good time together, which was music to my ears. Contrary to a narcissistic woman who expects to be praised for how beautiful she looks or to be the center of my attention, and complain about the family atmosphere of the place, Barbara complimented me on the kind of casual outfit I was wearing at the time, and the choice of venue on that first date. Commentary from a woman who does not want to be the center of attention, much less question the decision I had made, which is a second point in her favor. Usually a narcissistic woman, when she praises you, there is always a but. Questioning or planting the seed of doubt in your behavior. Doubt which is leading to undermine your personal integrity, trying to destroy the confidence you have in yourself. It is a type of emotional manipulation that narcissistic women use, in which gaslighting is the most effective tool to destroy your self-esteem, as a way of taking control over you. A narcissistic woman creates doubt in your mind, while an alpha woman creates a sense of approval in the way you think. During our conversation, as a businesswoman familiar with the world of modeling, she asked me how I had spent the day at work, which I replied to her, that conversation would make our date very boring. Barbara looking at me with a curious smile, which some women have as a way of softening the conversation. She replied that, on the contrary, knowing a little about you, was a way of understanding the type of man she was talking about. When I heard that from Barbara, I was more convinced that I was dealing with a self-confident alpha woman, who did not seek to be the center of attention, contrary to a narcissistic woman, who on a first date the man is not seen as a person. He is seen like a thing, in which the empathy for that thing, sorry I am talking about man who as person does not exist, for a covert narcissistic woman. Barbara put real interest in me, about how I spent the day, showed the enormous empathy that she has for people, in which tribal things in life are important to listen to. There is no doubt that Barbara got that genuine feeling of empathy towards me, a man whom she does not know and as an alpha woman is evaluating. Barbara at that moment got her full attention on me, which she did not get wearing the style of clothing that is in trend. And let's talk about that centralized way of walking and dressing that many models have, when I saw her walking towards the elevator. After having a courtesy drink from the owner of the restaurant, as a way to learn a little more about her life, she asks how difficult it is for a former model to manage in such a competitive market. About which she answered me with the words of a self-confident woman and her ability in what she is doing. Barbara answered me, showing passion in what she does. Behind the glamour of fashion magazines there is a huge team of fashion designers, talented fashion designers, creative people, designers of seasonal clothes, hard work, a lot of travel, interviews, research on fashion trends and work together, which requires cooperation of a team where everyone marches towards the same goal. I am simply one more part of that team for which I work. Without the effort and dedication of those who make up the team, success does not exist. When I heard Barbara's response, I realized that until now she did not present the characteristics of a narcissistic woman. Because a narcissistic woman is the product of a lack of empathy towards others. Something that impressed me about Barbara is that she recognized that her success in the world of fashion was not really a product of her work and personal effort, but of the team that accompanied her. Barbara thus far was showing a sense of empathy and humility as a woman in the way she was treating me during the dated, and as a professional in the way she valued the people around her. Type of behavior and attitude that a narcissistic cover never projects, much less as part of her vocabulary, because she is the center of attention. Which were more in favor of Barbara, in which that cloud created by me, associated with a covert narcissistic woman, was gradually disappearing in my mind. The type of woman or man, who lies about their triumphs, blames others for failures, hates when another is the center of attention, has no loyalty to anyone, needs to be praised, enjoys the suffering that he or she causes others, but also denigrates and emotionally blackmails to all the people around them if they don't get what they want. Barbara up to this point has not shown this type of behavior and bad attitude. Product of personal integrity and sense of personal security Barbara has of herself, which I want to accept or not. Barbara is the type of woman who deserved a second date with me, because up to now she has shown that there is wife material in her. But this is only the first date with a woman who has an alpha personality, who could be a highly intelligent, narcissistic covert woman, who is doing and saying the right things that I want to hear as a way to manipulate a possible relationship in the future. A woman that when in front of the man she likes, she may or may not let that man have control of the situation, and she might or might not occupies a position of submission to that man. It is something that we all see through the development of this story. Taking that into consideration, both Barbara and I decided to have a second date as something we both deserve. Something that you should understand and look at it with an open mind. Competition for control of a relationship in which the sex of the participants is not decisive in the role that each one must play, between people with a real sense of personal integrity and self-confidence, which allows them to accept opinions without much questioning. Because when the definition of role, when it is well distributed, a product of commitment, in which as an alpha mentality, I must respect the decisions of a woman with an alpha mentality. Contrary to the false commitment between an alpha male defeated and controlled by a narcissistic covert, where emotional manipulation, lies and gaslighting is what keeps the couple together. Is Barbara really wife material? Will Barbara accept her submissive role in our relationship? I can cheat on Barbara with another woman because she cheated on me with another man? Can an alpha male and an alpha female really have a good marriage relationship? Is Barbara the ideal woman for Matthew? Will Barbara sacrifice her career to be with Matthew? Is Barbara really a narcissistic woman or an alpha woman? In a second part of this dramatic story, I cheated on my girlfriend, because my girlfriend cheated on me. When a narcissistic woman falls in love with an alpha male, on this psychological plot you will know the answer to this question. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are one of the people who like this type of story about cheating, infidelity, emotional manipulation, and toxic relationships, please subscribe to this channel, leave your comments and share this type of video.